It was 3:30 in the morning in the Gulf of Aden, and the sea was dark and quiet. The USNS Guadalupe, a U.S. Navy fuel ship, was moving carefully through the waters. On board were more than 8 million gallons of jet fuel, enough to power an entire carrier strike group for weeks. The sailors were calm, not knowing they were about to face one of the largest pirate attacks in modern history. From the horizon came the first sign of trouble. 30 speedboats raced through the waves at nearly 40 knots. Engines roared, men shouted, and gunfire lit up the night. 250 Somali pirates, armed with RPG-7 rocket launchers, AK-47 rifles, and heavy machine guns, charged toward the tanker like a swarm of hornets. Their leader, Khalid Qadar Abdul Rahman, was a warlord who had turned coastal villages into fortresses. His men were no ragtag fishermen chasing ransom money. They were organized, trained, and armed like soldiers, and tonight they had chosen the Guadalupe as their prize. At first, the radar screens on the escort ship, USS Laboon, showed what looked like fishing boats, but within minutes, the truth was clear. 30 hostile vessels were converging on the tanker. Alarms blared and red lights flashed across the bridge. Captain Michael Harris knew exactly what was at stake. If even one rocket penetrated the tanker's fuel tanks, it would trigger an explosion equal to 30,000 pounds of TNT. The fireball would stretch for miles, maybe even visible from space, and it would shut down one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. The order went out. Prepare for battle. The pirates came fast. Their skiffs cut across the waves, firing into the night sky. Tracer rounds streaked toward the tanker as RPGs arced overhead. Then came the first direct hit. A rocket slammed into the stern of the Guadalupe. Fire flared on deck, threatening disaster. But the Navy fire crews rushed in, battling flames with remarkable speed and control. Within minutes, the fire was out. The tanker survived, but the message was clear. The pirates were willing to risk turning the sea into an inferno. Wave after wave of small boats pushed forward. From the bridge of the Laboon, Captain Harris watched RPGs slam into the ocean near his ship. One rocket flew so close it shattered a bridge window, injuring 4 sailors with flying glass. Another explosion on deck burned 2 gunners, but even injured, they kept firing. The Americans were badly outnumbered, 10-1, but they refused to give ground. The counterattack was fierce. The Laboon's heavy .50 caliber machine guns opened up, tearing pirate boats apart. The USS Cape St. George, a cruiser rushing to join the fight, arrived and unleashed its phalanx 20-millimeter cannons, spitting out more than 4,000 rounds in just minutes. Wooden skiffs shattered like matchsticks. Explosions tore across the water as pirate fuel tanks went up in flames. Within 30 minutes, 9 pirate boats had been destroyed, their crews thrown into the sea. But the swarm did not stop. 21 boats kept pressing toward the tanker. Some tried to ram the ship, hoping to board and take hostages. One boat made it within 200 yards, before it was split in half by a storm of machine gun fire. Another launched a rocket that exploded harmlessly in the sea, sending a shockwave across the waves. Still, the pirates fought on, reckless and relentless, as if determined to die trying. By dawn, the scale of the battle was staggering. The pirates had already fired more than 70,000 rounds of ammunition in less than an hour. The Americans were still standing, but 9 sailors were wounded, and the fight showed no signs of slowing down. Captain Harris knew brute force alone wouldn't end it. He made a desperate call for reinforcements. At Camp Lemonnier in Djibouti, the only permanent U.S. base in Africa, alarms sounded. The response was immediate. 3 CH-47 Chinook helicopters loaded with Navy SEALs lifted off, each carrying 40 elite fighters armed with night vision, laser-guided rifles, and explosives. Above them flew 3 AH-64E Apache helicopters, each equipped with 30-millimeter cannons and Hellfire missiles. High above the battle zone, MQ-9 Reaper drones circled, streaming live surveillance back to commanders. The plan was simple. Hold the line at sea, then strike the pirates at their base on land. Drone footage revealed the full scale of the threat. Along the Somali coast near Barawi sat a fortified pirate compound. Warehouses filled with weapons, fuel depots stacked with barrels, and dozens of skiffs waiting on the beach. Intelligence estimated more than 15 tons of weapons were stockpiled, including 200 RPGs and millions of rounds of ammunition. This was not a pirate hideout. It was a war fortress. The U.S. Navy wasted no time. The Laboon fired 5-inch shells at the compound's fuel depot. The strike was perfect. 40,000 gallons of diesel exploded in a fireball so massive it shook the earth like an earthquake. The flames lit up the coast as the Navy SEALs moved in. Chinooks dropped more than 100 SEALs onto the beach, while Apaches circled overhead, their cannons locked and ready. The SEALs stormed the first warehouse, blasting through doors and walls. Inside, they found crates of Chinese rifles, Iranian mortars, and evidence of international smuggling networks. They also found 6 hostages, including 2 American merchant sailors, chained and beaten. They freed them immediately and pushed deeper into the compound. The pirates counterattacked with ferocity. RPGs streaked across the sand, one exploding just 20 meters from a SEAL team. A truck with a mounted heavy machine gun pinned the SEALs down, spraying hundreds of rounds per minute. But the Apaches swooped low, unleashing hellfire missiles that turned the truck into twisted wreckage. Skiffs on the beach tried to flee, but bursts of cannon fire from the helicopters shredded them in seconds. By 8:45 a.m., the tide had turned. SEALs set explosives throughout the warehouses. One by one, the charges blew, leveling the pirate compound in massive blasts. Fire tore through the stockpiles of weapons and fuel. The entire base was reduced to rubble. By the time the Chinooks lifted off again, the pirates were broken. More than 90 had been killed, 60 captured, and the rest scattered across the desert. The empire of Khalid Qadar Abdul Rahman was in ruins. The aftermath was clear. Over 180 pirates were dead, 70 wounded, and more than 150 captured. 12 warehouses filled with weapons were destroyed. 15 tons of arms, 200 RPG launchers, and 2 million rounds of ammunition were seized or blown to pieces. The USNS Guadalupe was damaged, but afloat, its massive load of jet fuel saved from disaster. 9 American sailors were wounded, but none killed. What mattered most was the message. For years, Somali pirates had been seen as a nuisance, poor fishermen with rifles chasing ransom money. But this attack proved they had become something else, a paramilitary force backed by millions of dollars and foreign suppliers. Intelligence uncovered more than $50 million in financial links stretching to Yemen, Iran, and beyond. These pirates were not just criminals. They were pawns in a global shadow war. The U.S. response left no doubt. Attack an American ship, and the retaliation will not stop at sea. It will follow you to your fortress, tear apart your networks, and burn your empire to the ground. By the end of that September day, the Gulf of Aden was quiet again. Smoke still rose from the Somali coast. Wreckage floated in the water, but the lesson was clear. The pirates had underestimated the flag flying over the Guadalupe. They thought they were attacking sailors. What they faced instead was the full might of the United States military. And the world was left with one chilling thought. If 250 pirates in small boats nearly caused the largest non-nuclear explosion in history, what happens when the next attackers are backed by a nation with warships, missiles, and billions in funding? The seas were calm once again, but the warning was written in fire.